Welcome to the Monetize Your Ministry podcast.
And you get a chance to interact with them. To me, that's full-time ministry.
Really die happy because talk without Jesus is like a feeling. It brings in itself and then it opens it up.
I want to provide content and things that will help change lives, and I simultaneously want to receive a blessing from that.
Now here's your host, Kamon Hans.
All right, good people. Welcome to a live episode. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, and if you are on YouTube, a live episode of the Monetize Your Ministry podcast. I'm so glad that we get to have this conversation today. Now, if you have been around at all with this podcast, with my platform, you know my message is you have something and you need to move it out into the marketplace. You got a gift, you got a skill, you have a story, and it is time for you to stop sitting on that story, stop sitting in that idea, and move it out into the marketplace. And so I want you to build a business. But today, I think our conversation might be a little bit different because many times we don't talk about what the business building journey looks like, what it brings into our lives, the challenges that come with it. And there are some hidden things that if we're not careful, it's going to cost us. And so we're going to talk about that today. If you're watching this live, share it. If you're watching this on replay, interact with us and share this as well. We want to discuss with you this particular topic. And today, I'm not doing this alone. In fact, I want to introduce to you a guest. Now, I was introduced to her a little bit during, actually a couple years ago. There was a particular challenge I was having in my family, and I got a chance to meet Dr. Kelly Holder. And her story and her work is something that I think you need to hear. So Dr. Kelly Holder is a clinical health psychologist. She's an educator. She's a speaker. And let me do something so you can actually see her now, because right now I am hiding Dr. Kelly. Yep.
Hey.
She's a speaker. And she's a well-being leader who is passionate about helping people move beyond burnout into more sustainable, joy-filled living. You're going to hear that word joy about 100 times during this podcast. So she has leadership experience in university, healthcare, and clinical settings. Dr. Holder has spent years designing programs to support emotional wellness, whole person care, and thriving communities. And she's going to talk to us today about a particular topic. Welcome to the podcast, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Hi, everyone.
Awesome. So we're going to have this conversation about the hidden business trap that no one talks about. But I want to just kind of get people to understand who you are, a little bit about your journey. And I like to ask people this question, which I should have prepped you for. What is something about Dr. Kelly Holder that people who don't know you as well may be surprised to learn? So maybe they went to school with you, maybe they've worked with you, maybe they've interacted, seen your work online. What is something they'd be surprised to know about you?
Yeah, I think people who've gotten to know me recently might be surprised to know that my undergraduate degree is in biochemistry, which seems like a far cry from psychology. Most psychology folks have not studied biochemistry, but my undergrad degree is in biochemistry. And I really think it is the link that got me into health psychology. And it makes me unique at what I do because of that background. And I think a lot of people don't know that about me.
Okay. So what was why did you study that? Like, was that the career that you wanted to go into? Help us understand, like, why did you even pursue that at first?
Yeah, I always really enjoyed math and science. And if I can be completely honest, I thought I was going to do something that was just with math. And then I was thinking, well, chemistry is just like chemicals and math. So why wouldn't I do like biochemistry, something like that? And so I was really at that time in my life trying to discover what was going to bring me joy and allow me to bring joy into other people's lives. And my undergrad career in biochemistry was amazing. I enjoyed it very much. I had a lot of fun studying those things. And I did not know that it was going to end up connecting me to psychology and connecting me to health psychology and connecting me to working with healthcare professionals. And so even though that's something a lot of people don't know about me, it was the launching ground that's allowed me to do all the work and be really interested in all the other things I've done post college.
Love it. I love it. Now, y'all are gonna probably hear a little bit of music in the background, and I actually love this. Our podcasts don't have like a music background. I don't hear it anymore right now, so hopefully it picks up. But Dr. Kelly, that's because you have a family, and so
Yeah.
tell people a little bit about like your family and the stage of life, because that's gonna be important with what we talk about today.
Yeah, I am married. I have a husband. I've got 3 kids, all of which are teenagers.
Hold on, T. I stretch your hand towards the screen right now. You begin praying for Dr. Kelly. She got three
Three
teenagers, and they're
teenagers.
all at home at the same time right now.
They're all at home right now, and I have to say I'm really loving having them all together. My oldest is in college, and she's home right now. And if you hear music, it's her. She's getting ready for a gig. She's trying out for a part in something, and so she's really playing the bass. The levels are really low, so typically the bass doesn't get picked up on a mic, but you might hear it. And then I have a 15-year-old. My daughter's going to be 15 tomorrow. And my middle child, he is 16. And so they're a joy. I really love these kids. They're exciting people. And if you've lived with teenagers, you know that there is not a dull moment.
Yeah.
Not a dull moment.
You know, it's interesting because we're talking about the hidden business trap that nobody talks about. And we can almost make a parenting podcast, because you said we have teenagers and you're enjoying them. And somebody's like, what are you doing? And we probably need to do a separate episode on how you enjoy the teenage journey. But I want you to take us back a few years. So
Okay.
you mentioned your family. You mentioned, we mentioned a little bit about the work you're doing. But there was a point that you talk about, and maybe you've talked about it on your podcast. Kelly's a podcaster. Shout out the name of your podcast.
Held with Joy. Held with Joy.
So she's she's the host of the Held with Joy podcast. But you talk about this moment where you said you were around the table, I think, with your family, and then you broke down crying. Talk about that, right? Because people see you mention your family, and every time I see you online, you have a very positive message. So talk about that moment, because some people, they may not understand your story without hearing this.
Right. Yeah. No, I've gone through some really difficult, challenging seasons. And this season that you're talking about in particular was a time where I was in a job that I loved the work, but the work didn't love me back. All right. So there were systemic things happening that made it difficult to do the things that I enjoyed. And I like eating with my family every night. And one night I just started to cry. And my youngest child said to me, because at the time my job allowed me to have different sites that I went to and different things. And the next day I was going to one of the places that I enjoyed more than some of the others, because the systemic things weren't as hard there. And my youngest daughter looked me in the eye and said, Mommy, at least you're going to enjoy your day tomorrow. I mean, and that was a moment that really hit me hard. It made me realize there was something I needed to do differently, that my kids noticed the rhythms and they could tell, because I hadn't sat down with that child at the time. She might have been 10. Mm-hmm. I didn't sit down with her and say, well, these are the days I really like. These are the days I don't like. So she must have noticed that pattern and noticed, well, this is Wednesday. Wednesday, Mommy is unhappy at dinner, you know? And so my tears and my child's response made me realize there is something I need to do differently in my life, because this is not how I want to live. I don't want to show up at my dinner table with nothing to give my children and crying.
But what's making you cry? Like, somebody's curious. What's making you someone who you're a mental health, expert? Like, what causes that?
Yeah, I really think my tears were about my inability to control or change some of those systemic problems that were giving me grief. I think my tears were about my inability to control how all those things were impacting others at my job. And I was also in a leadership role. So I think my tears weren't even just about myself. They're about people that I were asking me for support, and I couldn't even figure out how to support them as well. And I think my tears were also because I had not figured out how to take hold of what I could during that season of my life. I was looking very much externally for validation, for change, for support. And I did not know at the time, I hadn't really taken to heart some of the things that I know now. And I might have known them lightly then, but they hadn't reached my heart around what happens within systems and what's within my control, and how do I make my life what I want my life to be while I'm waiting for things to change or for things to shift.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't done that level of work at that time.
Yeah. Our guest today is Dr. Kelly Holder, and she's a clinical psychologist. She has the degrees to show it. She does have the certification. If we need to, we can provide it. But Dr. Kelly, as we talk about people who are in business, and for a lot of folks who are watching this podcast, they may have a full-time job and they're building a business. Maybe they're building this business from the start. They're trying to take it to the next level. And you mentioned like just sitting at the table and having that weight on you. How many times do we, the folks who are like high achievers, like no one tells you have to start a business. It's just something you decide you want to do. No one says you have to do some of these things. It's something you want to build. What is how can they relate to your story? What are some of the things that we secretly carry that may cause us, whether we cry out loud or we secretly have those moments? What are some of the things that we carry that can relate to what you're sharing?
Yeah, I really think folks who are building a business can relate to this idea that I'm in the middle of something that doesn't feel good. Maybe it's the daily processes. Maybe it's because I have to juggle two things to get to where I'm going. And also this feeling like what's good for me lies ahead. And so if I just put all my things in these buckets, eventually I'll get there. And eventually, when that happens, then I'll have joy, or then I'll feel good. Then I'll be happy with my family. But until then, we're just going to hunker down, be terrible all together until we get to where we ultimately want to go.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Now, if you are watching this, you're watching live, you're watching the replay, I want you to put yes in the comments if you can relate to what I think I'm hearing from you, Dr. Kelly. If we're building something, if we are working on something, if we're raising a family, if we are in the midst of our educational journey, our career journey, many times we're experiencing some level of stress, some level of pressure, some level of overwhelm, right? So here's the question for everyone, and this is where you put yes. And we think to ourselves, I will enjoy my life as soon as I get on the other side of this hill.
Yeah.
So as soon as I send these kids off to school, right? Or as soon as my business hits this number, or as soon as I make this amount of sales, or I complete this project, that's when I'll be able to sit back in the chair outside of my house that I never sit in because I'm too busy. And that's when I'll enjoy life. Let me know, anyone in the comments, or you can put this even during the replay. And then Dr. Kelly, talk to us about that feeling and that trap, because I think that's the trap that many people in business feel.
It is a trap. It's a trap. And there's so many things tied into that trap. There's levels of perfectionism tied into that trap. There are messages that you've received from others about who you are and what your life is supposed to be. And if you're not working towards that every waking moment and thinking about that every waking moment, then you're wasting your time. So there's so many elements that go into that trap. And until we're released from that trap, until we're freed from that trap, the truth is that we'll never actually enjoy anything because the goalposts keep moving. And so as I get to another spot, I look around at the other people who've moved here, and some have moved further, and I could still do this and I could make that. And so there is a need for learning how to make good on the life you currently have that aids you in really enjoying the life that you could receive as you grow, as you develop, as you reach goals. So I think we really do get stuck thinking that we can't enjoy our lives. There's no rest, there's no relaxation, there's definitely no fun until I get what I'm working on. And it is a trap. It's a trap. And it'll keep you there for the rest of your career, the rest of your growing.
You know, the reason we call this the trap that nobody talks about is because we look at someone who is ahead of us and we think as soon as we get to their level, that's when we'll experience the joy. And it's interesting. It's a sports reference. And by the way, aren't you in Michigan?
I am. I'm in Michigan.
So the coach of Michigan, the basketball coach, and well, this is going to be a 30-second sport reference. He just took a job to go be the coach of the Dallas Mavericks professional basketball team. So he left Michigan University to go to the Dallas Mavericks. And they said when his team, they just won the national championship. When they won, they asked him, how do you feel? And he said, the feeling of success is not what I thought it was. It was not what I expected. Like I had this journey that I was going through and it did not live up to the hype. And I'm so glad he was honest, because that's how a lot of us feel in this business building journey, in this career journey. We delay the joy for so long. We delay our, just being able to just love what's happening in the moment, because we think when we get to the top, the summit, that it's going to feel a certain way, but it doesn't. Help us with that, Dr. Kelly. What causes that?
Yeah. As we're moving through our lives, we can only experience where we are. And this is one of the reasons why people really encourage journaling and all those things, so you can look back and reflect. But as we change and grow, we experience where we are, and every season comes with its own level of angst. So when we get to a new angst, we're fully experiencing that. And it's hard to pull our step back and be like, wait a minute, this is new angst. I've accomplished this other thing. And so when we look towards our future, we're looking towards the good that is there, not realizing that when we get there, we're going to encounter a new set of problems, a new set of challenges that will require us to continue to grow. And so being a constant learner and allowing ourselves to ever grow is really important, because there really isn't an end goal. There isn't, because each spot we get to offers us new opportunities to grow and things we couldn't even imagine before getting there. So it really helps for us to have a healthy perspective around growth every step of the way, whether we think we're at the very beginning or not.
There's something you just said about that angst. We don't picture the angst that's going to come when we get to that point. Help us with this, Dr. Kelly, because I think this is your work, and we're going to transition to talk about something you're doing. So I want to be a goal-oriented person, right? So that's how a lot of us are wired. We want to be goal-oriented. And I see it, men and women, right? But we want to be goal-oriented. So we have things in front of us. How do we keep ourselves moving toward our goal and not live through those ups and downs and the highs? What is the secret for us, especially those of us building businesses? What's that secret to overcoming that trap that we just talked about?
Yeah. I don't think it's a secret. So I will say that. I'll start with, this is no secret. And what I'm about to say, it may seem like a secret because it's hard to do. But there is a need for us to be more present in our lives and slow down enough to practice gratitude every step of the way. And I think gratitude is a big piece. There's so many other pieces, but I think gratitude is the one worth speaking about, being able to realize where we are, being mindful of, okay, this is what this is for right now. And what can I be grateful for about what this is, and allowing it to be,
So let me just push back at you. So I do a program, I put an offer out, no one buys. I was expecting that money to be able to pay my team, to keep my business running. How do I implement that? Because people say, yeah, that sounds great. I'm grateful when I make the sale, but when I don't, how do I practice gratitude?
Yeah. So that takes a lot of awareness. So being able to say and take a step back and say, what is it that I could have learned through this? Is there any goodness nearby? Is there anything that has fueled or supported me in my growth in this moment, whether I like it or not, right? And of course, if you don't make a sale, you're not going to like it. So it's going to take some effort to say, well, what good is happening here, right? And that mindfulness piece is really important. Mindfulness is really about this awareness of where you are and what has allowed you to be here. So there might be things that you need to change about your offer. There might be things that need to happen different, but you cannot do that without full awareness. No change can happen without awareness. And so that mindfulness that helps us stay grounded and gratitude that helps us stay aware of the moment is also the fuel that'll help us think clearly enough about, okay, when the next moment comes, what do I do differently? And we often skip that step. We're so anxious and upset because it's not what we want it to be. If we haven't done those steps, the next things we do may not really get us where we need to go because we haven't slowed down enough to have this awareness and gratitude for what already is in our lives.
Yeah, I love it. It's not like I'm just happy that I didn't make a sale, but it's like an awareness, and that's slowing down is something that you just shared. Hey, Dorian, glad that you're watching this with us. You're interacting with us. So, Dr. Kelly, there's a word, and I need somebody to type this in the chat. This word joy.
Yeah.
That you talk about, and you talk about it in a different way, and I think it relates to anyone watching this, particularly you mentioned women, people maybe running a business, trying to grow. Talk to us about how joy also counteracts this trap that we talked about. And what is the joy that when you talk about joy, is it happiness, amusement? What is joy? Excitement?
Okay, yeah. So, joy and happiness are not the same thing. I like to think of joy as being this rich component that allows us to carry goodness, hopefulness, and gratitude into our lives. And if I can be perfectly honest, joy is a gift. It is a gift that God gives us, right? And so we don't have to conjure it up. However, that gift has to be cultivated. Yeah. And joy is unique from happiness also because joy it's not afraid of suffering or pain or disaster. Joy allows us to be able to both bear the pain and see the goodness, kind of like as we talked about that mindfulness component, without having to lose ourselves. This ability to say, this is who I am, this is what's happening. And that joy then helps propel us to do the things that are required next. And so joy is very rich word. It contains so many elements. And this is one of the reasons why I like talking about joy, because it gets us past, I don't want to say past our pain. Joy accompanies us during these very difficult moments and can be the fuel that aids us in moving forward if we allow it. Yeah. If we allow it.
That's a word, if we allow it. There's something I've heard you say, joy, because I think a lot of us will agree. Yes, Dr. Kelly, I agree with you. Like, but there's a word you said, joy, and you put the word now next to it. Mm-hmm. Talk to someone. Maybe business is up and down. Maybe life is stressful. Their family's going in 10 different directions. Maybe they don't have what they want to have at this stage. What does joy now look like for that person? And how do we make that? You said it's such a rich word that accompanies us on our journey. What does that look like?
Yeah. It's a hard picture to draw. So I'm going to give a couple of scenarios. First, I will say is that I honestly believe that joy is available to every person in this moment, no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what you're going through. And joy can be that thing that can fuel you and support you with what happens next. The challenge is that until you have that experience, sometimes it can feel like joy is like, I can't get to it. Like, what are you even talking about? You're putting salt in my wounds. And so one of the ways I like to describe it for folks who are growing in their ability to access joy is being able to say that while if you're not having that emotional feeling of joy, recognizing the ways in which you're being held or supported with joy. And this can be in looking around and seeing who is supporting me. Is there a kindness that is being offered to me? Is there goodness anywhere nearby in the world that is allowing me to continue to move forward? Looking for those small signs can be the start of allowing joy to enter your mind and your heart, because you have to be open to it to actually experience this like counterintuitive kind of feeling and growth that happens with joy.
Is that something that we can learn and grow in?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I honestly believe we can learn, we can grow in it, we can cultivate it. And most of us have not been given the tools to do that. And so, this is the reason why I talk about joy, and I've created some of the amazing things that I'm working on.
Which, by the way, let me play this video for you, because you all have to see this. Dr. Kelly's working on this, and I'll play this video, and then I'll have you talk about this. Because especially, now listen, this podcast, men and women watch this. But ladies, this is for you. So let me play this video for you.
Your life isn't slowing down. Your calendar won't clear itself. The needs keep coming. The noise keeps rising. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, you forgot to feel alive. This is your invitation to something different, a joy-centered experience for women of faith who are done waiting for life to settle down before they start living. Joy isn't your reward, it's your right now. Join us at Joy Fest. It's free, it's virtual, and it's made for you. joyuniversity.co.
I love it. By the way, Dr. Kelly, it just sounds like, have you ever done radio?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you should. Your voice just says, yeah, I should be doing radio. Okay, so talk to us about Joy Fest and tell me who this is for. Because there's a woman who's going to see this video and she's going to say, maybe this isn't for me. So help her to understand why this is for her.
Yeah, so Joy Fest is June 28th. It's Sunday, June 28th. And it goes from 2 to 4, 2 hours. This is specifically for women of faith, specifically high-performing women of faith, folks who show up for themselves, show up for their communities. They may be the person that everybody goes to. And so it can make it really difficult to be open and honest and vulnerable about what you're experiencing. And also folks who continue to just show up regardless. You might feel sick, but you're like, I got to show up. My people need me. Those who haven't taken breaks for themselves, feel like rest is outside of their reach and not possible for them. Joy Fest was made for her in particular, because I've been her and I struggle not to be her on a regular basis. And that's one of the reasons why in Joy University, this is the first group of people I wanted to reach, because I know what it means and how it feels to be her as a psychologist, as a well-being leader, showing up for folks at work, but folks in my own family, and then wondering if it's okay for me to say, wait a minute, I need more and I want more. I've really honed in on the word joy as a way of talking about improving our well-being and our mental health, specifically because as a person who's worked in organizational well-being, I'm tired of talking about burnout. And I'm tired of talking about overwhelm. And I know there's a group of people who feel similar. We talk a lot about what's wrong and not enough about the steps that it takes to live the way we want to live. Yeah. And so I've decided to pick something as our goalpost, and that's what we are going to focus our energy on, Because when we dwell too much on all the problems are going to persist, right? Life is going to life. Things are going to be hard. Parenting's going to be parenting. Working a job with toxic people is going to just be that. The stuff just keeps coming and coming. You're going to get sick. Someone you love is going to get sick. Someone you love is going to die. This is like life just keeps happening, whether we want it to happen or not. And so I want to really share tools and walk with folks around how do we live, just really live and have goodness while we are experiencing the very real, messy, and sometimes beautiful lives that we have been given.
That is so good. You said something. You said, I was tired talking about burnout. And it's almost like, I get your point. We can talk about the negative, what's going to happen, but unless we talk about another way, we're inevitably going to be drawn like a magnet back to the thing that we keep saying we don't want. And so you're saying, no, let's focus on this positive thing here, joy, that we all need, but so many times we don't know how to embrace it. And so you said it's for the woman who shows up for everyone and everyone's counting on her.
Yeah.
And many times she doesn't even say, what I'm hearing from you, she needs help and that she may be struggling. I want you, I'm going to do something and then we'll talk about who's on there. So it's June 28th. And the website is joyuniversity.co. Joyuniversity.co. But I'm going to spotlight you for a second. And I want you to look in the camera. And I want you to just talk, have a sister-to-sister conversation with a woman who might see this and needs to understand why she needs to sign up because it's virtual.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be on Zoom. So people are like, okay, I've been on Zoom before. But this is different.
Yeah.
Because I've had a chance to talk to you about this. I want you to just talk to her. I'm not even here. I want you to talk to her and tell her why she needs to be there for herself. And then I'll come back after you finish. So talk to that sister.
All right, friend. Are you listening? Because I know how challenging life is. And it hasn't gotten any better. I know that you've worked really hard to build some beautiful things in your life. And at the end of the day, you're still wondering if it matters, if you matter. You want to rest. You want to have hope. But the problems just kind of seem to keep multiplying. I've created Joy Fest so that you can have a moment to learn how to invite stillness in your life. And it doesn't have to be as big as you imagined it to be in order for it to be effective. I've created some things in this program that are going to allow you to practice being open, not just open to change and open to seeing the world differently, but opening your heart to the people and situations that God has already placed around you to help aid you with joy. And also created an opportunity for you to start saying yes to the things that help you align yourself better, saying yes to alignment around your well-being, around your physical health. Now, as we do each of these things at Joy Fest, we're not going to sit and lecture to you. You're going to experience them hands-on during our time together. And then we're going to talk about integration. How do the various dimensions of well-being aid us in cultivating joy and cultivating the kind of life that we need to cultivate or that we want to cultivate? You want to be here because these practices are gentle. You know, some of us need motivation and someone like just to push, but this is gentle. This is a gentle moment because you've pushed yourself long and hard for long enough. And so now you need a soft, gentle space to be reflective and honest with yourself so that you can live the life you really want to live. You want to live it. And I want to aid you in that. I've been there. And if I'm completely honest, I'm continuing to grow in these practices. So there's not an end goal. This is not something where we have to beat ourselves into submission, but something very gentle that is going to allow ourselves to open our hearts to joy so that we can find real meaning and goodness right where we are. Not someday, but right now. I hope that you will come because this is for you. It's for you.
I love it. I couldn't find my controller.
I was about to say, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I couldn't find it. But here's what's interesting, Kelly. I want to come, but I know it's not for me. So I want you to tell people, gentlemen, if you're watching this, you need to tell it to the lady or the women
Yes.
in your life that you care about. Tell us a little bit about who's going to be on there, Dr. Kelly, and just say one more time how we can register.
Yes. Okay. Register at joyuniversity.co. Joyuniversity.co. I have 3 amazing speakers. We've got Leah J.M. Dean. She is the best-selling author of 2 books, Assemble a Tribe and Be Different. She's also just an amazing speaker and someone who's brought women together in many ways through many programs. You're going to want to hear her speak. And then we also have Dr. Amanda Davis Bowie, who is a clinician, psychotherapist who owns her own practice, Strength, Love, Motivation. And she is also someone who is known for bringing women together. She has also created several workbooks and books. And for both Leah and Dr. Amanda, we're going to be giving away some of their books. So you want to come so you can get some of those prizes. And finally, we have Dr. Kyra Norris. She is a family physician. She's an obesity medicine expert. I consider her to be an athlete as well. And she's really going to be talking to us around how we can say yes to alignment around our physical well-being. And we're just going to be integrating all these topics together because they're not separate. Oftentimes we hear about our spiritual health, our emotional health, our physical health, and we talk about them in buckets. But it really, all of those things impact each other and impact our experience with joy and how we show up in the world. And while this is all about you and you come just for yourself, for coming for yourself is good enough. But I have to say this because someone needs to hear this. As you grow in your ability to bring joy into your life, it's going to spill out. And I wish I had time to talk about how, as I've developed this, it's impact my marriage, how it's impact the way that I raise my children, how it's impacted the teams that I lead. It's while it is a solo project and it is good enough just for me, it has done something in all the spaces that I show up in. And so while I want you to do this for you, I want you to hold in the back of your mind that something will also shift in all of these other spaces where you show up. And so from that standpoint, there is this other goodness that can happen. And we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on you. But I want you to know that there is an impact that happens. And so while it's an added bonus. So while it is all about you, there will be some goodness that happens in all the spaces where you show up as well.
I love it. Okay, so Dr. Kelly, give us the website. It's on here, but maybe someone's listening.
Yeah, joyuniversity.co. Joyuniversity.co. Go register. Come. It's going to be amazing.
Listen, if you are a woman that is carrying any sort of responsibility, you need to be there. Joyuniversity.co. Especially those of you who are building a business, you got to be there. This is going to help you in, here's the word, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dr. Kelly Holder, thank you so much for being our guest today. Those of you who are listening, watching this, please share this with someone. Especially let them know this coming Sunday, June the 28th, right? June the 28th.
Yes, June 28th.
2 p.m. Eastern. Joy Fest is happening. They need to register. joyuniversity.co. Register, share this with someone, show up, and enjoy everything that is a part of this.
Yeah.
And as always, we encourage you. Go increase your income and your impact.
Thank you for listening to the Monetize Your Ministry podcast with Kimon Hines. For more information, visit our website at www.monetizeyourministrypodcast.com. That's www.monetizeyourministrypodcast.com. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Please share this episode with someone who needs it. Let's increase our income and impact.